All right. Ella.
Yes.
Ella, where are you from originally? Where'd you grow up?
In Ventura County.
Mm-hmm. And tell me about your family growing up. You had mom and dad?
Yes, I have a mom, although she had left me at a young age. She was only 14 years older than myself. So, Dad was around, but not a very good man, a very mean, violently mean man.
What happened to your mom?
Well, eventually she was murdered by her boyfriend with a fireplace poker and his boots and the spigot in the bathtub.
Wow. How old were you when you lost your mom?
I was 30.
But she was out of your life before?
I found her when I turned 21 in bars, so I made a connection with her after that. And then I got to know her, quite a bit, but not everything. And I know that there were some things bad. And I remember my mom always coming up with broken arms or a broken wrist or a broken leg, something broken. And that was all to do with this guy named David. So, yeah, my mom didn't have enough time to live.
Tell me back to your childhood. Tell me, how many years were you with your mom?
Oh, gosh, before I was 5.
Oh, so only a few years. And then
She left me. Well, she was, only 14 years older. So she was still out there cutting her oats and dating and,
she was still a teenager.
and all that. Yeah. And my dad was roughly 32 years older than her.
And how was your relationship with your dad?
Not good. I noticed that when I was very young, he would touch me in certain areas and make me sleep with him. And that didn't make me feel very good at all. And then he'd take pictures and that of me. And it wasn't a good feeling. Felt like something kind of dirty because sometimes I'd wear a bathing suit and sometimes I wouldn't. But he'd make me go to bed with him. And he would fondle me and that. And I couldn't understand what was going on. Now, I don't remember an awful lot of my past. I don't remember if I had birthdays. I don't remember if I had Christmases. I don't remember anything. I know that I wasn't able to go to school at all because for fear I would tell somebody. And so therefore I was kept out of school for all those years. Wasn't allowed to have friends. Basically just kept in the house or traveling here and traveling there to do film and that.
When you say do film, so your
Yeah.
father had you doing, is it pornography?
Yes. Yeah. And there'd be a makeup person there, and there'd be people to talk to, and that would coach me. But then, the years had passed, and I don't remember still today an awful lot of them. All that I know is that I was in child pornography, and it was dirty. very dirty. And then I was fondling other children and as they were fondling me. And I'd get a little older, and then it was intercourse with a young child. It wasn't a pretty picture.
What age did this start?
When, let's see, it started before I was 5 years old, and it worked its way up until I was 18. At this time, I was probably, 8, maybe. Don't really remember all that. I didn't know my age when I got out. But the pain is still there. Doesn't ever seem to go away. And at times I could just be doing anything, and all of a sudden I'll get a thought in my mind and go, oh God, why? Why now? So.
Were you an only child?
Yes. Yes.
And you had no aunts or uncles that might have been able to help out or step in?
No. Also, my grandparents on my mom's side were also doing sexual pleasures to me for them to watch.
On your mom's side?
On my mom's side. And my grandma knew it, but she never said anything, never tried to help or anything.
You didn't have a chance.
There was no chance. And by the time I was 8, I was on heroin.
Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp.
How's it been going since you've been doing therapy for the last couple of months?
Oh, it's been great. I mean, I've done therapy my whole life. I mean, since my 20s, I think I've done therapy on and off throughout. A lot of people look at therapy as like, oh, there's something wrong with you if you're doing therapy. The way I look at it is there's something really healthy and right about you if you're speaking to a therapist, because you're able to, like, we all go through things in our lives that just make things difficult. And if you have someone, especially a professional, to talk about it, it just makes your life better. It just calms things down. Your anxiety, your depression, your anger, they all seem to subside. And that's a really healthy thing. And, with BetterHelp, what's great about it is no matter where you are, you can be in Alaska, you can be in the middle of Kentucky, you can be anywhere, and you can connect with a therapist, a professional who's really going to help you out. And we all need it. And sometimes if you're not in New York or LA or San Francisco or Chicago, you're stuck without those options. But now everyone has that at their disposal. And you can do this all from your phone or computer, just a phone call, a video chat, or messaging, however you feel most comfortable. It's the easiest possible way to start talking to a therapist. You'll be matched with a therapist usually within 48 hours, and you can get started right away. So let BetterHelp connect you with a therapist, all from the comfort of your own home. Visit betterhelp.com/soft white underbelly or choose soft white underbelly when you sign up and get a special discount on your first month. And now back to the video.
Or those, what are they called? Sleeping Beauties or something?
Who gave you heroin at such a young age?
Well, the guy that was running the program. You got to remember, I'm at a very young age. So the studio, and that to relax me, he said.
So your father is who started this?
Yes.
And then eventually you got involved in something else?
Well, I got involved with this under my dad's direction. I didn't have a say. If I was to say anything or act like I didn't want to do it, my dad would go out to the backyard and kill all the baby dogs, and then I had to turn around and bury them all in the pouring rain. So these were ways to teach me to stay in line. Because I really never had anything of my own. So that went on. I was definitely addicted. And then as I got older, I got to have alcohol. Alcohol and heroin, I'm in a different world. And I'm at a different place in my life. I knew I wanted out of it, but there was no way. I've tried to commit suicide several times. I still have the marks on my wrist. But that failed, and I used to blame God for everything that I had gone through because he wouldn't help me. And it wasn't until I was in my 40s, close to 50, that I realized it's not God's fault. It's man's fault. Men did all this to me in my older age. It was disgusting. You never know who you were going to get. A big old fat slob all over you, or I don't know. It was all a whirlwind. It was very scary. It was very not pleasurable by any means. And then I started drinking.
How far did you go in school?
I didn't go to school at all.
What was the last grade that you went?
I never went to school.
You never even went to school?
No.
Wow.
I have learned how to read and write by my husband at the time. So he helped me out an awful lot. He knows, and my second husband knows, but I never spoke about this. I'm in rehab now.
You never spoke about this to your husbands?
I did, but I didn't get real down into the nitty-gritty, because who would want a woman that's tainted? And that's what I was.
So you had to keep this secret.
And I could keep a secret. And I can still keep a secret today.
Where's your father?
He's there. He's there. Life got harder and harder the older I got. I was doing more heroin than ever. And then if I didn't get it, I'd be getting sick. But the people that ran me under my father's advice that I either be treated poorly or treated good. How can you do either when your legs are always open and you learn how to suck a cock by sitting there licking it like a fucking lollipop? Years went by, and I'm older now, and I ran away from where I was kept. And I ran away because I needed some strength and some hope on my side. So I am a woman of child pornography, and that what came to be was I was already an adult well before I was 17, you know. I'd meet other children and had to literally fuck them or have sex with them. It's not having sex. It's something dirty. And I remember all the horrible times.
Do you remember any of the interactions you had as a child?
Yes.
What were they like?
Well, first it was with boys and girls. It was more in depth. It was fondling them and talking to them, but nothing about anything that we were doing outside of the shooting. Both of us would feel dirty, and they would like to see pictures of us just sitting together, staring at each other, or him having his pants down. And pictures like my hands touching him, and I would cry. And it would be hard for me because this is all new. But how new can it be when I'm 5 years older or less? As I got older, I was around 8 years old. And so were the other kids that I was sucking on them, meaning on their cock. That made me feel horrible. It felt like I'm less than. I am less than. And I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. And that's why I said, I committed suicide a few times. And then as I progressed to get older, I was more conditioned and on more heroin than ever. It was not a good thing because I would get so sick if I was towards the end of my ride on heroin. And I didn't get to drink yet. I don't think I started drinking until I was about 9 or 10. And then I could have a drink after a shoot. And that would be my gift, so to say. I wouldn't say it ever got easier, but it got to more like, this is just my life. This is something I do, I remember looking outside and seeing kids play. And I always wanted to know why I couldn't go out there and play with them. I'd hear their laughter and their joy. It sounded so good.
Did you have friends?
Not allowed to have friends for fear I would talk. But boy, I sure made up for it. When I got out of there, I got a lot of friends. And I love that. By the time I was 15, the porn was harder. It was much harder. And I'm supposed to lay there and take it. And it would hurt. It would hurt so bad. Sometimes I'd have 2 females with me. What the fuck can they do with a little girl? I mean, that there is just horrible. It's just horrible. And I ran away once, and I told the cops what was happening. And I was in San Francisco. And I ran away, and then I got caught and went to the police station, and I told them what was happening. And that my dad did not treat me like a liar. Art my dad didn't treat me like a daughter. Excuse me. And they still sent me home. There's so many emotions I'm going through right now. But I'm trying so hard to hold them in because I really don't want to break down. But I also know that it's hard. And I know there's other people out there that are suffering just like I did with other boys and girls, that are my age now.
When you were a child, how many other children were doing similar work?
Oh, there were several. Oh, there were a lot. Yeah. Everywhere I go, I meet somebody new.
So it's hard to imagine how a child can even get into this.
Yeah.
But in your case, you had no mom, and your dad was basically in control of everything.
Right. He was all control. Ever since it all started with me having to go to bed with him and stuff. And then he's putting his cock in my vagina. And I didn't like that. And then he'd go and tell me to go take a shower.
What age was that going on?
Huh?
What age was that kind of stuff going on?
Oh, I believe it started before I was 5. And all the way up until I was 18 years old, 17, 18 years old.
You never got pregnant doing all this stuff?
Yes, I did. Yes. I've would see a doctor, and this happened to me 3 times. Yeah.
And you got abortions or something?
Yes.
Yeah. What kind of teenager were you? It's a very unusual childhood you had.
I don't know. I can't answer that. I can't even tell you as a young adult. I didn't know who I was, but I knew that I didn't belong.
The drug use continued for you?
Oh, yeah.
That's water you're drinking, by the way.
Yes.
For those that are wondering.
Yeah, it's just water.
Are you clean now?
Yes.
How did you get clean? Because it sounds like you were using heroin and alcohol for a long time.
Yes, I was. And I got off heroin. Though they didn't have a lot of rehabs and stuff like that. They were hospitals. And that would help you. Today, it's so different. Today, if you tell a cop that something's going on with you, they take every precaution to take care of the child. Wish they had that for me. But everything was taboo back then.
How did this kind of sex pornography thing you were doing, that ended around 18?
Yes.
And then what did your life look like then? Because how did you support yourself after that?
Well, it was easy, I would play men because, there was a part of me that hated men and women. They'd fly them from out of the country to be with somebody young. And you get your I don't want to say what kind of groups they were, but yeah, they'd spend a lot of money to want to be with me.
But your 20s and 30s, how old are you now? You're over 30.
63.
You're 63. Wow, you look incredible for 63.
Thank you.
But in your 20s and 30s, you were surviving how? You had husbands at one point.
Well, I met this boy, and he was very kind to me and very nice. And I knew I didn't want to take advantage of this one. Because he has such a great heart, not to what I'm used to. So he got me off heroin and helped me that way. And then told me not to bring myself lower than I'd already have been. And that one day this will all be a blur to you. But it hasn't been. You know, it's nightmares you can't get over. And I relive them that way. And it's not fair. I don't want to be here and going through this stuff that's so horrific. And I know that there are more horrific things that I don't know.
That you don't remember?
My brain is protecting me. Doesn't want me to know, because I know it's far darker than anything.
Have you done therapy?
I've done therapy. I'm still in therapy. Alcohol was something I just couldn't get over. And I drank. I had a daughter. She's beautiful. She had a childhood that was not like mine at all. And she had a great daddy that truly loved her. But he wasn't sick. Like all these other people, just fucking sick. That and likes to degrade people. That's what hurt the most, is being told that you're a piece of shit. Nobody wants you. Nobody will ever love you. Those are the real hard things. And that stuck with me for many, many years, that I was never going to be good enough. I got off the heroin, went straight to alcohol, then did crystal meth, then went back to alcohol. Then did a little more crystal meth, but when I was doing crystal, I wasn't drinking. I did not need to. I had that high. It seemed like at the time life was running out for me. And there were times that even as an adult, I didn't want to live.
You mentioned you attempted suicide a few times?
Yes. Yeah. One with a razor blade on my wrist, and then tried severing my carotid artery, but I wasn't going down deep enough. I still have the scar.
What was your relationship like with your father?
Not good.
I'll bet.
I never went back to see him. Never.
Have you ever spoken to him since?
No.
No.
I have no desire. I treat him like he's dead. How can a man do that to his own daughter and sell her? Who does that? My goal is I've gotten off the alcohol. I have 221 days sober.
Good for you.
And I'm so grateful for that. And life has been kind to me ever since I left there. And usually I'm a real upbeat, happy-go-lucky girl, you know. But I can do that. I can put on a facade even though when I'm hurting inside and it shows on my face, I can do that and I'm somebody else. I can disassociate,
I'll bet you can.
and it's real easy for me.
You've been doing it since you were a little kid. Probably.
Yeah, it's real easy for me.
How did you finally get clean from alcohol?
Well, I went into detox. I was there for 33 days. And that was at Resurgence or Muse. And they were very good to me.
You worked with Pretty, who I've interviewed before?
I met Purdy after I got out of detox, and I went to this place called Warner Park, and I met Purdy there, and he was one of our facilitators. And it was real strange because I felt a real closeness to him, knowing that he wouldn't laugh at me after I told him my story. And I opened up. Never opened up before. And I'm still opening up. I'm sure there's more details than that I could tell you.
Is it hard for you to even talk about this?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure it is.
Yes. But if I could help one person out there, I would love to help them and tell them they're not dirty. They are loved. They do have a life. And it gets better when you're sober. It gets so much better when you're sober. And Purdy teaches us some really good tricks that help us get by and help us move on and make it to where we believe in ourselves. Yeah, I'm a strong woman with a very tattered past. You know, I can't tell people that I didn't go to school or anything like that. I would lie, tell them, oh yeah, I went to college, I went all through school, and
you wouldn't know that you didn't.
Yeah.
Do you find that talking about this stuff and getting it off your chest is better than just hiding it and keeping it inside?
That's correct. But I only shortly learned that and shortly opened up about it. I still work with a therapist, and she's an angel. My goal is to help somebody out there, and somebody that really needs the help, that feels that they can't go through life living in misery, trying to suppress the secret that you have, and then finally letting it out.
It takes a lot of courage, I think.
Yes, it does. It takes an awful lot of courage, you know, but I want to be strong. I want to be that female that nobody can tell me what to do or not to do when it comes sexually. You know, I can do what I want to do. But, yeah, my goal is to help, you know, somebody.
Ella, what would you say is the most important lesson you've learned after all of this?
Then being open and honest is the only way to be. And that gives me strength. And it gives me hope. And I have opened up to people in our facility. And I believe I've helped 2 people so far that have gone through somewhat similar pornography like me. And I wish to help several more. And drinking is not going to solve anything. Doing the crystal meth, the heroin, it's not going to help anything. It makes you weak. But if you can live your life straight and have no harmful effects in your body, you too can become happy like me.
All right, Ella, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you're doing well now.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.